Is it better? No.
That's not good. Whatever that is.
Okay.
No, but is there a way you can put it maybe on
Oh, wait,
mute
hold on.
sound?
Good morning. There you go.
Is that better? No.
No, we got in the Frigidaire. Fridge, yeah.
What if we just put the phone in the other room?
Try now.
Now, hello? Yeah.
Bigger phone.
Maybe just leave it. Is that better? Also, mute yourself over there, maybe.
I did that, I thought.
So, because no, wait. How do I not hear you though? I'm trying to think. How does that work? Maybe you have to turn your audio off.
Call Zevi. Call the IT.
Yeah. Is that better? No.
Okay.
Are too close. Keep up moving.
I unmuted myself. Hello. All right. There's no echo. I just hear it though.
What is this?
Put your phone down.
You want me to do it on my phone? I have an iPhone. It's a normal phone. Here's a.
I don't think it's the iPhone. I think it's when you do the recording.
No, it's when you're
Or just turn your volume all the way down.
What is going on?
Is that better? All right. I can't. Yeah. All right. All right. You know, it's so warm. All right. Morning, everybody. So we left off at the bottom of or the top line, Beis Amud Aleph, Maseches Megillah. Zok the Mishnah, Naya Masechta. We made our way a couple years in, towards the end of Moed. Hashem. Megillah Nikres, B'Yud Aleph, B'Yud Beis, B'Yud Gimel, B'Yud Aleph, Tesvav. The Megillah can be read certain places on the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. So 5 dates, but Pachos v'lo Yoser, right? Not earlier than the 11th and not later than the 15th. Any cities that were walled during the days of Yeshua ben Nun are read, is read on the 15th. And Kfam Veiros of Ayros Gedolos Karim B'Yadalad, and any village, either villages or cities, those are normally on the 14th. Ella, however, Shakfar Makdim Liyom HaKnisa, but there are times when villages actually read a little earlier than the 14th. They might read on the Yom HaKnisa. On the days where they enter, they go to the markets. They go to the market in order to go ahead and I guess sustain themselves. They go to the shuk to buy, and while they're in the city, they go ahead and they also hear Megillah. Let's see. So Chaliyos Yadalid. Now we're going to discuss what are the possibilities of if Chaliyos Yadalid. If the 14th. So now we're going to establish it as the 14th. If the 14th falls out, we're going to go through all the possibilities. B'Sheni on Monday, the 14th of Monday, said the villages and the cities read on that day, on that Monday. And the walled cities are the next day. So there's 3 categories, right? There's villages, cities, and walled cities. That's how we're going to describe them. Villages, cities, walled cities. So if Monday is the 14th, then the cities and the villages are on the 14th. The walled cities are the next day on Tuesday on the 15th. If the 14th falls out on Tuesday or Wednesday, then the villages read on that Monday. So if the 14th, let's say, is Wednesday, right? So therefore that Monday is going to be the 12th. Then the villages will be on the 12th, or if it's 14th is a Tuesday, then they read on the 13th. Though they read on the Yom HaKnisa, the cities read for themselves, and the walled cities the next day, right? As Rashi actually explains already, so I'll just explain it, even though the Gemara does. But the reason is because the people in the villages they used to go into the cities on Monday and Thursday. Why those days? Those are the days where Beis Din was open. So they would go there, and those people were not well versed. They didn't know how to read Megillah, so they would need a city dweller to go ahead, or somebody who knows how to read the Megillah for them. So therefore, while they happen to be in the cities, right, on Monday and Thursday, they're also going to go ahead and listen to the Megillah. So Eddie was coming there. So yeah, just move over one. Yeah, or usually sits in the end. Yeah. So he said now. Because then also if it comes out then they read the next day. The walled cities read on the 15th. Now Chali is b'chamishi if the 14th falls out on Thursday. Then the villages and the cities read on that Thursday on the 14th. Because then the walled cities read on Friday on the 15th. Chali Shabbos if the 14th comes out on Shabbos. So Kfar Makdim Liyam Kanisa. Then if the 14th is on Shabbos, then the villages go ahead and read the day before on the 13th on Thursday, which is Yom HaKnisa. And then the cities and the walled cities read on the 14th. Why? Because we don't read Megillah on Shabbos. So the Gemara will later explain why. And we also don't go ahead and push it off, just read Megillah on Sunday because we don't read beyond the 15th, as we've stated earlier in the Mishnah. Chali is the Shabbos if the 14th comes out on Shabbos. Then the villages, of course, go ahead and read on the Yom HaKnisa on Thursday, 2 days earlier. And like we mentioned, the city, so they should go Friday, but instead of going Friday, they also go on Thursday. We'll explain that case. Those who are walls, those read on the next day on the 15th on Sunday.
Okay, if it's a city, why shouldn't they
read on Friday?
Right.
So the Gemara will ask. The Gemara will ask that question. So the Gemara will say why are they going to Friday? Why are they going all the way back to Thursday? They should just read on Friday. So the Gemara will discuss that case. Now Chali is Achar Shabbos, and the final scenario is the 14th falls out on Sunday. So Kfar Makdim Liyam HaKnisa, the villages. So they go Yom HaKnisa once again, right? They can't read by themselves for everything. So therefore, they Yom HaKnisa. Their Yom HaKnisa for them is the Thursday before, which will be the 11th, which is the earliest scenario. They read the 11th. Yom HaKnisa ve'eros gedos karim b'yom, and then the people in the cities they read on that day on the 14th, which is Sunday. And those which have walled cities and days of Yeshua B'Nun, those read Monday, which is the 15th. Fine. So that was the Mishnah. Zok the Gemara. So Megillah Nikreis Beit Aleph Minalon. So the Megillah is read on the 11th, starting from the 11th. How do we know that? So Minalon could be Ina Lamemer. We say later, like we want to say later on. The Chachamim were makel on the villages in order they could go ahead and read earlier on the Yom HaKnisa. On the days they used to go into the cities to the Beis Din and to buy their supplies. And while they're there, since they weren't well versed, they would hear somebody read the Megillah for them. And in order that they should go ahead and have enough water and food, right, for the brethren on the cities. So in other words, if you're asking why do they read earlier, well, we said later on there's a takana. So the Gemara wants to know. So this is what I mean to say. Now, if this was established by the Anshe Knesset Hagdola to go ahead and read the Megillah. These if there was just it's the 11th through the 15th was all part of the takana, and it was not just a takana to read on the 14th and 15th. Why? They established only reading Megillah on the 14th or 15th, and Asr Rabbanan, and then the Rabbanan came along, right? And then they came and they were Aikir, the Takana, they uprooted the Takana and said, okay, it's no longer just the 14th and the 15th. You can also read in 11, 12, and 13 for those people in the villages, right? And then the people, the Batei Dinim came later on, and they nullified the original Takana of the Anshe Knesset Hagdola. But now we learn in the Mishnah. No Beis Din can come along and be mevatel and change the psak of a Beis Din from before unless they're greater than them in number and in wisdom. And you don't find that with Anshe Knesset Hagdola. So Elab Shita, rather we must say Kulu Anshe Knesset Hagdola Takinim. All of them was the same takana, the original takana to read the Megillah next year, right? All of it was included in also at that point in time, reading 14 and 15, to also read 11, 12, 13. Fine. Heicha Remiza. So where is the hint? Where do we see that there's different times? So and read even earlier, right? So Amar Rav Shimon bar Abba, Amar Rav Yechon. So I believe we're going to bring three sources. So Amar Akra, first is Rav Shimon bar Abba, Amar Rav Yechon. The pasuk says L'kayim es yimei hapurim ha'eva bizmanehem. So it says over there to fill the days of Purim bizmanehem. So zmanim harbe tekin lehem. So it says it's zmanehem in their time. So multiple times, 11 through 15. So of course it's Haim by the Gufe, but it needs to tell us that there's 14th and 15th, right? And there's Zmanayim to tell us, whether, because even the Megillah has its own time where it's different between the 14th and 15th. So Im Kain Lemekra Zman. If that's the case, it should have said the Kaimis Purim Ha'ela B'Zman, right? My Zmanayim, Zman and Tuva many times. I Vakati Boile. Zman Shazelo, Kizman Shazeh. So maybe the reason I say Zmanayim is to teach you that if you're supposed to read on the 14th, you can't read on the 15th, or you're supposed to read on the 15th, you can't read on the 14th. That each place has its own set time, and you can't mix them up. Same Kain Lemekra Zmanam. Let it just say Zmanam. My Zmanayim. Why say Zmanayim? Shmamina Klu. So therefore, Shmasmina, right? Kulu, right? So therefore, we can learn all of them. In other words, all the drushas of that, each one in its own time, you can't read the other one. And also, there's multiple times, not just 14 and 15, but even more. So Ema, Zman, and Tuva. Maybe it means many times, the entire month, or maybe before the 11th or after the 15th, right? So Zmanayim. So therefore, it says Zmanayim, Dumya de Zmanam. In other words, when it says Zmanayim in their times, similar to the times, Maz Manam Shrei, just like the normal the time that was written to read the Megillah was on the 14th and 15th, which is written in Megillah's Esther. It says 2. So too, when we add dates to read additional times, it's also 2 dates. So if that's the case, the Ema Trace of Tlaser. Okay, so say there's already 14 and 15. Add 2 more days, 12 and 13. So Gemara says no. Kedamar Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak Yud Gimel Zman Kihilo Lakol. As you say later on, right? So the Gemara will point later on for another teretz. We'll wait and see over there. So it says over there that since the 13th was the Zman for everybody, so therefore that didn't need an additional time, right? That was a time when they were fighting, right? Both in Shushan and other places, right? Therefore Therefore, since that's a Zman, since that was a time where they're all fighting, so therefore that itself is already a time of miracles. So therefore, we don't need a pasuk to tell us 13. And therefore, since we're adding 2 dates, we know 14 and 15, it can't be 13. So therefore, by default, it's 11 and 12. So therefore, so over here it says you give us man kilo call. He doesn't need additional pasuk. So in our case, we'll say you give us man kilo call. It doesn't need an extra pasuk. Why did you say the 16th and 17th, right? 2 days afterwards. So our answer is no, v'lo yavor. The pasuk says v'lo yavor. You should not pass. In other words, you shouldn't pass the 14th and 15th and not have read the Megillah yet. Fine. That was source 1. Bizmanehem. Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar Akra says the pasuk says kiyamim asher nachu bahem hayudim yamim kiyamim. So it says over there. It says yam. So the pasuk over there. Also. It says the days over there that they rested, right? That they rested from their enemies, right? So it says yamim, right? So kiyamim, right? The pasuk says kiyamim, right? I should know like the days. So yamim kiyamim. So therefore, there's just like the days they rested was 2. So 2, we're going to add 2 more days. Therefore, to include 11 and 12. I've aimed a trace 7 to later. So we'll say it's 12 and 13, and 11 is out is out of the picture. So once again, as we answer later on, the 13th itself was Zman Kehila. There was a time when everyone fought for both walled and unwalled cities. The Koli it doesn't need a ribuy over there. So therefore, we don't need an extra pasuk to teach us 13. So therefore, 11 and 12. Say 16 and 17. But it says lo yavor, you shouldn't pass to do it afterwards. Now, Rabbi Shimon bar Nachmani, my time alone. So we had 2 proofs. So the question is, right? Why did Rabbi Shimon bar Nachmani not say the drasha b'zmaneim? So his answer is Zmaneim loy mashmalei. He never learned, right? The pasuk of Zmaneim, which we darshan, wasn't mashma to him. Rav Shimon bar Abba, my time lo amar kiyamim. Why didn't you learn kayamim? Why didn't you learn for that pasuk? That's come to teach you for generations that this lashon kayamim, just like in then, right? They celebrate 14th and 15th. So too, Every year, you should celebrate the 14th and the 15th. And Amar Rechana Amar Yechanan, Zov, fine, period. Now, Amar Rabba Bar Chana Amar Rabbi Yechanan, Zo Divrei Rabbi Kiva Stimasa. This is the opinion of Rabbi Kiva. The Darish Zman Zmanim Zmanim. Aval, in other words, where you say on the 11th and the 12th and the 13th. So Rabbi Kiva holds that. Aval Chamim Amrim, Ein Karin Asa Ella Bismana. There is no villages reading early. 14th, 15th, right? Walled, unwalled, end of story. And that's so does Rabbi Kiva versus the Chachamim. Now, Meisvei Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda, Amasai, when we talk about Zman Shashanim Ketikna, Visashunal the Masa, that is referring to, right, when the years are Kesikna, right? In other words, when they're misaber al Bezdin, when people come and testify about the new moon, and that's how they establish Rosh Chodesh, and Yisrael they're ruling in Israel. But now, when there is no basin to establish new months, since we look at the calendar, we only read it in its time. Bismana, right? We only read 14 and 15. That's it. So now Rabbi Yehuda, Aliba the man. Who's Rabbi Yehuda hold like? Rabbi Kiva. If it's like Rabbi Kiva, Avilu Bisman Azeh. Even according to Rabbi Kiva, it should be Bisman Azeh. You should read also 11, 12, 13, right? But Avilu Bisman Azeh, you sell as a lie takanasa. This takana should apply now. Elav, what are you going to say? Aliba the Rabbanan. You said according to Rabbanan, Bisman Shashani Kazidan Visa Shud Al Masa Mia Karina. Right. Nevertheless, well, when Bnei Yisrael was ruling Eretz, they should have read in 11, 12, 13. So therefore, it's a tiyufta Rabbi Yechanan tiyufta. It's tiyufta Rabbi Yechanan, right? Who said that this is the opinion of Rabbi Kiva, but Rabbi Kiva holds it's always, and Chamim hold it's never. Fine. Amar it's ikadami. Some have a slightly different version. Amar Rechana, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, Zo Divrei Rabbi Kiva Stimasa v'Chamim Ayim Bisman Azeh Hoy Mustaktiv Ba Ein Karino Sal Bisman. He quotes the Rabbi Kiva that says this is the sheet of Rabbi Kiva, but the Chamim hold that Bisman Hazeh, then you only read Bisman. But when there was a Beis Din, then they would read it also on 11, 12, and 13. And Tanya Menachi. And if that's the case, then we have a full brayso which supports, which is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. When do we read also 11, 12, 13? When the years are Kasigna Visa Shunal Masa. When Bnei Yisrael has the Beis Din, we establish Rosh Chodesh. But nowadays, since we go ahead and look at the calendar, we only read a bismana, and therefore Rabbi Kiva, and therefore Rabbi Yehuda would say just like the Chachama. Now, Rav Ashi Kashile Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Ashi had a contradiction between Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore, in order to get out of this steer of this contradiction, right? He said, there's a Mishnah, right, against this Bryce. So he said that Bryce is not the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, rather that's the Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. Umi Amar Rabbi Yehuda, right? And what is that contradiction? Umi Amar Rabbi Yehuda Bismana Zeh Hoy Mustakba Ein Kornas El Bismana. And does Rabbi Yehuda hold that Bismana Zeh, since we use the calendar, right? We only read it on the 14th and 15th. I Umi Amar Rabbi Yehuda says Rabbi Yehuda Mesai B'Malkom Shemachnisi B'Sheni Chamishi. Only when the villages used to come in for the Beis Din on Mondays and Thursdays. But if the villages weren't traveling to the cities on Mondays and Thursdays, and Karnas Al Bismana, then they read it on the 14th, even in their village. So it sounds like it sounds like in the places where they go to Beis Din, to the cities, on Mondays and Thursdays, they read it even Bismana when they look at the calendar. So it's a contradiction. Because over here, it doesn't seem like the main issue is whether we use the calendar or not. It seems to be the main issue is whether the villages are traveling to the cities on Mondays and Thursdays, right? And therefore, so you're just going to make up and say, oh, this must be Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, not Rabbi Yehuda himself, right? Because of a contradiction, right? We don't do that. Sometimes we say it's a contradiction. We don't just say, oh, it must have been somebody else. It must have been his son, right? So Rav Ashi Shmile. No, he heard it. The tiny look Rabbi Yehuda. The tiny look Rabbi Yehuda. He actually heard it two different versions. One, he heard the statement in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, and other people taught it was the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, and by the fact that there was an apparent, obvious contradiction, right? That this statement was said, which contradicts the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda. Omar Madatani like Rabbi Yehuda, Lav Dafka, Madatani like Rabbi Yehuda, Dafka. He said there must be the one who taught it as Rabbi Yehuda, right? And therefore, to be the one who taught it like Rabbi Yehuda would have be a contradiction. So therefore, he said that it must have been the mistake, but rather it would be like the one who taught it like Rabbi Yehuda. He was the one who made that statement that it is not necessarily dependent on whether the Beis Din establishes Rosh Chodesh. Rather, it depends on whether villages travel to the cities on Mondays and Thursdays to the marketplace there and to the Beis Din. Fine, 2 dots. Krachin hamukafin chayma miyamos Yeshua ben Nun karim b'chamisha savachur. So Menohani Mili, from where do we know this from? So we say that it mentions, right, the walled cities. So walled cities from the time of Yeshua ben Nun, right? Obviously, the Megillah Esther did not occur during the days of Yeshua, right? Occurred, hundreds of years, probably 1,000, right? No, hundreds, right? 1,000 years later, let's say 1,000, right? 1,000 years later, let's say, right? So it occurred many generations later, many decades later, or centuries later. So Manohani Mili, from how do we know this? Amar Rabba Damar Kar, the pasuk says, Al Kain Hayudim HaPrazim Hayoshim Ba'arei HaPrazim, right? The people in the walled cities, when the Prazim are Basar, excuse me, and the people in the open cities, right? The people in the open cities, when the Prazim are Basar, Muklavim Chamishasar, by the fact it says the people in the walled cities, in the unwalled cities, right? They should go ahead and celebrate on the 14th. So who's celebrating on the 15th? It must be the people in the walled cities, right? But it says, by the fact that it says unwalled cities celebrate 14. Maybe it means that the people in the unwalled cities, which is stated directly in the Megillah, celebrate the 14th, and the people in the walled cities don't celebrate at all. So the Gemara says, how could that be? Obviously, only knew they're not part of the Jewish people. Were they not saved? Right? The other, furthermore, it says that there was a miracle for everybody from the entire world. So okay. Maybe Vayim Prazim Bar Basar, Mukafin Bar Basar v'Chamisar. Maybe it says the unwalled cities were the 14th, and maybe the walled cities were the 14th and the 15th. Kedachsi, the pasuk says Liyos Asim as Yom Arbasar l'Chodesh Adar Ves Yom Chamishasar b'Chol Shana. Right, because it says over there that they made on the 14th the celebration, also on the 15th they made celebration. If it said they celebrated on the 14th and 15th, because Marta, okay, it would be like your suggestion that the walled cities would do 2 days. However, the right, by the fact it says the word S in between, like each one is his own stanza, right? Each one's own statement. Also S upasing. And therefore, the S comes and it basically separates the two. So, Hani Barbasar, Hani B'Chamishasar. This one is the 14th, and this one is the 15th. Maybe it means that the unwalled cities are the 14th, and the walled cities can do the 14th and 15th. Your call. So, Makra Bismaneim. It says in their times. Each one is own distinct times, and it's not both. So, therefore, if you're walled, it's during the walled city times. Unwalled city times, and therefore, since we know that unwalled cities were the 14th, it must be the walled was in the 15th. So what about on the 13th? So the answers Kishushan, right? Like Shushan, and it says over there in Shushan, and then Rashi had it, right? So it says over there. All right, it answers the Shushan, right? It says over there, it says that Shushan, right? They celebrate on the 15th. So since Shushan celebrate on the 15th, so therefore we don't say it's the 13th as the walled cities, but rather on the 15th. So Ashkelon. Right, correct. We didn't get there yet. Correct. So Ashkelon Asiya. So first of all, this is regarding the Asiya, the Mishnah and Simchas Yantav. Zechira min Allah. How do we know the Zechira, the mentioning of it? I.e., reading the Megillah Esther min Allah. Amar Kra. The pasuk says Vayimim ha'ela niskara v'nasim. It says over there in these days it will be remembered and it will do niskara v'nasim. So each is Zechira l'Asiya. So therefore, we make a hekesh, a comparison to the Megillah to the Asiyah, just like the Yantif is the 14th and 15th, so to the Mikra Megillah is the 14th and 15th. So Masnisin Deloy Kiyaitana. Our Mishnah, right now, this is getting to the point that Alan just pointed out. So Masnisin Deloy Kiyaitana. Our Mishnah is not like this Tana. The Tana Leonard Rice, Rabbi Shimon Karcha Imer, Krachim Hamukafin Chayma Miyamos Achashverosh. Karim B'Chamishosar. Says Rabbi Shimon Karcha, when we talk about walled cities, it's talking about walled cities during the time of Achashverosh, during the time of the miracle of Purim. My time is Shubin Karcha. What's the reason? Shubin Karcha says Kishushan. It's like Shushan. Ma Shushan because Chayma Miyamos Achashverosh v'Karim B'Chamishosar. Just like Shushan was during the days of Achashverosh, we were in the 15th. So to anything that was walled during the days of Achashverosh also reads on the 15th. V'Tana Didan. And our Tana, my timer, what is his reason? Why is he referred to the days of Yeshua ben Nun and not during the days of Achashverosh? So Yoliv, Prazi. We like Gzer Shava. Ksiv Hach, it says over there, Al Kena Yudim HaPrazim. It says over there, the Jews in the unwalled cities. So Ksiv Hasim, it says over there, Levad Me'are HaPrazi, right? Harbe Ma'od. Right? Pasuk over there in Devarim. It says all these cities, right? Except for the unwalled cities, right? So over there, it's during the days of the end of Moshe, and when referring to the conquer itself, which will really be done by Yeshua ben Nun. So therefore, as they're saying, Yeshua ben Nun, just like over there, when it's referencing unwalled cities and vis-a-vis walled cities, is referring during that time of Yeshua ben Nun. So too, when we reference it, generations, centuries later of walled cities, unwalled cities, it goes according to that definition of what was walled during the days of Yeshua ben Nun and what was not.
So why Yerushalayim? It wasn't around the time of Yeshua.
Right. So Yerushalayim is right. Right. So in other words, there is no right here. There's nothing separate with Yerushalayim. Right. Why is it different? I think we'll see later on. So over here, also days of Yeshua ben Nun. So so now we have two different places. I understand Rabbi Shimon Karcha says during the days of Achashverosh, he doesn't say like our Tana, why to last like prazi, because he doesn't have it. He wasn't taught this Gzer Shava, so therefore he doesn't have Gzer Shava. So he says logically you go walled cities during the days of Achashverosh. El Tana Didan, but our Tana my time Rabbi Shimon Karcha. Why is it not Rabbi Shimon Karcha? So he says my time. Don't eat like prazi. He has a Gzer Shava. So he says no. Achi Kamar. El Shushan. Let's look at Shushan. Right, the Avi Kaman, right? Like a Prazim, like a right? Shushan, right? So, in other words, why, right? They're not like the unwalled and they're not like the walled. In other words, why should they be any different, right? So, because they were not, right? They celebrated the 15th, but they were not walled, right? So, Amarabba, Amalek Kadeh, Amalek Kadeh, that was his name, right? Shani Shushan Hoban Asaban Nes. So since there was a Nes that was done there, so therefore, since that was basically where the Nes took place, and they were fighting also on the 15th, therefore they celebrate the 15th. So Bishlam of the Tana Didon, Haini Duchsi, Medina, Ve'ir. So it says over there, Medina between the land and city, Medina, Lechalik Bay, Mukafin Chayma, Mivas Shubanu, Mukavas Chayma, Mivas Achashverosh. The word Medina differentiates between walled cities during the days of Yeshua ben Nun and during walled days of Achashverosh. Notice the difference, right? Depending if you're walled only during Achashverosh, you would still read on the 14th. And Ve'ir, Nami Lechalik, and also when it says city, Nami Lechalik, Ben Shushan L'Shariros. The difference between Shushan, which reads in the 15th, to other cities, right, which were in our wall, which in the 14th. El Rishubin Karcha, like Rishubin Karcha, Bishlam Medina. It says Medina, Chalik Ben Shushan L'Shariros, saying the Shushan in other cities. Ela Ve'ir, L'mayasa, right? How does it come differentiate between walled cities, right? It doesn't make sense to go ahead and differentiate between walled cities during the time to 1,000 years earlier. So Mechaber Shubin Karcha, L'Tani Daminicha, Keva the Islay Prazi, Medina, Lamali. Right? One says Prazi, right? On walled cities, right? Say Medina. Ella. Krola Darshu Dasa, right? Since there's three sections, obviously at least one of them is extra. So therefore, the pasuk only coming to Darshu Dasa, Shimon Levi Dasa, and therefore it's coming to teach you something else like a Shimon Levi Dasa, Damar Shimon Levi, Krach, the V'Kol Samachlo. It's a city, and anything which is close to it, and therefore anything that is seen, right, with it, right, would read if it's around the walled cities or if you can see it, then it's part of that area. right? Then it's nida kach. And ad kama, and how far? So I'm Rabbi Yirmiyah B'Teimer Rabbi Chia Bar Abba me Chamasan L'Tveria, from the distance of Chamasan L'Tveria, which is milk. I blame a mill. Just say simply mill. So Hakamashban, the shiur the mill. The key is how long is the mill? Kamadavi me Chamasan L'Tveria. Basically, the distance between Chamasan and Tveria, which is the mill, teaches you the what is the definition of a mill. All right, we'll stop here. Shkoyach everybody. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem, we'll pick up from here, and everyone have an easy fast, and we'll.